Sahana Naresh is a ray of sunshine, not just when she walks into a room as a musician, but also as a person. And it is such an amazing opportunity for me to sit with her for a chat. As we bring in another episode of On VJ's playlist, Sahana Naresh, singer-songwriter from Bengaluru. Also, she dons multiple hats, which we will explore through the course of this chat. But Sahana, thank you for taking the time out to speak to me today. I'm really grateful and what a pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. You're being too kind. Hyping me up a bit too much, I think. But no, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is mine, Sahana. Sahana, before everything else, we immediately need to get to chatting about your latest release, Chasing Light. I heard the song, and when you just hear the two words "chasing light," it has so many different connotations for different people. The idea of light means so many things to so many different people. But when I ask you, what did making the song demand of you as not just as an artist but also as a person? What was the thought you wanted to communicate when you decided to make Chasing Light?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I think, often when I have like a problem in my head, like an existential crisis, or I'm asking myself questions, I think of like songwriting becomes like a cathartic process. So I sit down and I just write down my thoughts. And so Chasing Light was kind of born from one of those existential crises, if you could call it that. And I think like I didn't walk away with some big epiphany at the end of the song because maybe I wanted some big answer, but I walked away with more of a soft understanding that, I was confused. I'm not sure what I should be doing with my life. Where do I focus my energy? What kind of music should I sing? So there's so many questions, and I'm sure we all have these moments in our lives. And Chasing Light was just sort of exploring that confusion, exploring that sort of place where you don't know what you're doing. But I walked away from that feeling like it's okay. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying each day. And I sort of move forward with the hope that, I'm just doing what I love, and that's good enough for me. So that's sort of how, Chasing Light was born. So yeah, no big epiphany answer, but yeah, it's one of those emotional recalibrations of your mental GPS, if you can call it that.
Mental GPS, and now that's something that's a new phrase that I think I'm borrowing it from you for sure. But Sahana, I think because you spoke about existential crisis, and you spoke about trying to navigate your way around um, everyday uh, reality. What my audience also needs to know is that Sahana is also a working mom. She is a mother to a lovely 6-year-old daughter. Sahana, uh, it's already a very, very complex and difficult space for women in music to navigate, especially after they've reached a certain threshold. Unfortunately, we still live in a society where timelines pretty much dictate the course of a lot of things that happen in a woman's life. uh, how are you able to hold yourself in a space like our Indian independent music industry, where so much is evolving right now at this day and age, at like literally things are changing in the blink of an eye? How are you seeing yourself through all of this, and trying to handle the complexities of the other roles also that you carry on your personal front?
Yeah, I do think about this a lot. It can be very overwhelming. I mean, just as a musician, right? Just as an independent musician, life can be very overwhelming, and you're familiar with this, right? As a smaller indie artist, you may not have an artist manager, you may not have a label, you may not have this big team that usually accompanies a bigger artist. And so you're already wearing multiple hats. You're your own PR person, you're your own accountant, you're booking your own shows, and you have to write your own music and market your music, have a social media presence. So there's multiple hats to wear, and it does get overwhelming, to be honest. I don't think I do everything all the time. I set very realistic goals for myself. The first thing I started doing is I stopped comparing myself, because everyone is on their own individual journey. It just doesn't make any logical sense for me to compare myself to a famous artist or anyone, even my peers, right? Because everyone comes with different skill sets, different context in life, different roles and responsibilities. So I have completely stopped comparing. Of course, that sometimes I see someone and I'm a bit envious. I mean, I wish I had this opportunity. That's human, but I keep reminding myself that I am very grateful for what I have, and being a mom, to add to that, is and I love it. It's my favorite thing to do, and so for me, being a mom for the last 6.5 years has been my first priority. And thankfully, I have to say I am privileged because I come from a very supportive family, whether it's my parents or my husband. I'm supported emotionally and financially. So the burden of completely paying all my bills on my own is not there, which many musicians sadly don't have the luxury of. So I am acknowledging that privilege that I have. But that said, my first priority is my daughter, and then what I do is I plan my life around her. So when she's in school, I work, and when she's home, I do my best to try and be present. But yeah, I've honestly not figured it all out. I
Yeah.
sort of compartmentalize my career. I focus on creating music, because if I'm not creating, like, what am I promoting? What am I performing? Right. So I make sure that I always carve out time every month for creation, whether it's songwriting, whether it's recording reels, whether it's planning my content for live shows, my set list. So I make sure that I space out time for that. And during releases, some of that creation takes a backseat because I'm pushing the song that I release. So I feel like my work is cyclical. I go by, now if I have a release, I have to focus on marketing. When I'm done with my release, I sort of take a backseat. Marketing takes a backseat. I start recreating more music and focus on some other aspects like pitching myself for music festivals, etc. So I do the best I can. And I have this really fun rule that I picked up in the corporate world. I have these little post-its. So each day I write down my top 5 tasks of the day. And they're like super important and I have to get them done. And so if I get those 5 things done, I call it, I'm happy. I've accomplished something good for the day. And I also have a longer checklist, but I always, at the end of every day, I look at my longer checklist and I put stuff in for the next day. And because if you try to do too much at the same time, you're going to fail at everything. So prioritization is key, and ask for help. I think that's the other thing. I ask for help. Like my parents come and help with my daughter when I'm traveling, or I ask my friends for help when I need it. So I always ask for help. That's the other thing I would say. Ask for help. Ask for mentoring. Ask for support. And yeah, you use every toolkit that you have at your disposal to manage yourself in a pretty complicated world that we live in. So I would say that's how I try to do it, if that helps.
Let's try and understand. You're based in Bengaluru. Though I think you were born and bred in Chennai primarily, if that's correct. So,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of, I mean, a lot of the current music establishment where we are talking about labels and A&Rs and we are talking about DSPs. A lot of the larger ecosystem of the music industry operates from Mumbai. So but before we get to the larger ecosystem, let's talk about your immediate confines. Let's talk about Bengaluru. Now, for years, Bengaluru has had this image about itself that it is the hub of independent music. It is the growing hub of a lot of bands, a lot of independent acts, and there's a lot more immediate reception to an independent act than maybe what happens in other cities. How much do you believe in this, in this image that Bengaluru has? Could you just take us through what is really the reality on ground?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like, yeah, rightly so. I think Bangalore has that image because it is quite true. I've been here for the last 3 years, and I've performed to audiences that are extremely present, extremely open, and combined with the fact that there are so many job opportunities, a lot of tech employment, a lot of different professions that are thriving in Bangalore. There's also disposable income, and people are willing to spend that on live music, which is pleasantly surprising and wonderfully surprising to me because I didn't realize that that was actually the case. So I feel in Bangalore, you have to spend a little bit of time trying to understand those little communities because it's not always blatantly obvious where live music is thriving. There are some venues like Fandom and the Raft and stuff like that. But once you get a foot in the door with some of these communities, then you start like So Far Sounds, for example. I performed recently there to an amazing audience. I was just like, I enjoyed my show so much. It was full on a Sunday afternoon at noon. And people were standing, there was no room to sit. We had great sound, we had three lovely acts, and it was such a pleasure. No one was like scrolling on their phone or whatever. Everyone was just like watching and paying attention. And there are lots of these smaller communities, living room shows, and even as part of a community that I'm part of called Indie Girl, we have curated shows where in people's living rooms, where 40 people attend, and we give all the proceeds to the artist. And so basically, there is a beautiful scene. You just have to figure out where those pockets of these communities are. But once you sort of are able to plug into that, there's definitely a music scene. And I feel like even coffee shops are now turning into places for
Yeah.
to do them shows, and there are coffee raves happening and stuff like that.
Oh
So
God.
it's
You just use the word that I mean I have to
I will not always do it, but
you
yeah.
just yeah, like you're going well till you mentioned the word rave, and then suddenly I was like, oh no.
Not just like DJ sets in coffee places and stuff. So there's a fun. I mean, I feel like it's going through a fun transformation, and it's a good time. I think to be an independent artist. I mean, of course, there's lots of challenges, but there are opportunities as well, and maybe some are not as well paying as others. But yeah, there are opportunities. There are. You just have to keep putting yourself out there and look for those opportunities. It's not always obvious, but there are.
Yeah. But what's interesting is you also sorry, good. Sorry, please complete.
No, that was it. Yeah,
Oh,
I finished what I wanted to say.
okay. But what is also interesting, Sahana, is that you have this really amazing community that you have created along with Yohina and with Sanoli. The three of you have started a community called the Indie Girl Community, and through which you all are even launching your own label, which is going to be the only label that I know of that is only spotlighting women artists. Um, while that's a great initiative in spotlighting more women, because we do believe that there are a lot of women in music and they don't get the kind of representation and they don't get the kind of visibility that they rightfully deserve, not just for their talent but also for the kind of people they are. But there will also be a certain cynical perspective that will come your way that, I mean, why can't it be inclusive for everybody? Like on one hand, you're talking about equality, and then on the other hand, you keep something that is exclusive to only one uh, gender. Uh, so, how do you deliberate that sort of argument?
Yeah, so I mean, just correct you, it's actually founded by Sanoli. So I've
Yeah.
just been helping, and I think Yunina was helping earlier. So Sanoli gets full credit. She and her manager Vin actually founded Indie Girl. I've just sort
Of
of been
course.
volunteering. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I feel like this is goes back to the argument of why feminism, right?
Yeah.
Feminism is basically, asking for equality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what has happened is women have been sidelined for centuries. It go back
Yeah.
all the way to God knows how long. And I think this is just a small effort that we're making to say, hey, let's give women some space to sort of experiment and try new things and create new music in a place that they feel safe, give them opportunities to make music the way they like, and not follow whatever mainstream criteria that they have to follow. So it's basically just saying, hey, let's give them little support, let's bolster them, give them a little bit of support, because it's a difficult industry. And if we look, I mean, there are a lot of women artists, but for every female independent artist, there are way more male artists. So we're just trying to give women a little bit of extra support and a platform to share their work. And the label as well is trying to do that. But specifically with the label, we're trying to promote English music written by Indian independent artists. So it's not just
Mm.
that it's female focused, that it's also
Yeah.
focused on Indian female artists. And I think the vision he had for this particular album, I think it's 10 female artists who write music in English who are from India. And the goal is to promote this music outside of India as well. Because his thing was, we always have these international artists singing in English coming and selling their music in India. Why can't we have women artists writing music in English and have that music reach a global audience outside of India? So there's a specific focus there. And I think a lot of the time we also get told that India is not ready for English music and we only want regional music. Why are you not writing in Punjabi or Tamil or whatever? Write, and it's happened to me a couple of times. Like I've pitched my music to labels and like at conferences and stuff, and I always get told, it's a great song, but can you translate it in Hindi and bring it back? Because India is not ready for English music. So this was also a way to say, okay, fine, maybe that's what the mainstream labels are saying, but if you want to write in English, here's a platform for you. So that's sort of also the space with the label. And yeah, Indie Girl, we just wanted to give women independent, Indian independent artists an opportunity to have the spotlight for once, because we feel like it's not so common that women get the spotlight in music. And especially independent artists, if you're not writing for Bollywood or if you're not writing regional music, you don't really get to have opportunities don't come by as easily. So this was just creating that community, and the idea is also to share resources, to support each other's releases, to show up for each other's shows. It's not just here is a stage for you to perform. You also have to give back to the community, share each other's music on social media, show up for each other's shows. So the idea is to eventually get there and have a safe community for women to collaborate and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when you said about, I mean, when you revealed that people say that India is not the place for English music, I think everyone has found one name now to fall back to. Hanuman. There, the guy has
Yeah.
proved it. So what is the excuse now? I think you're so right. It's just that I feel that it's a strange kind of a hypocrisy where, we are willing to, sell land, beg, borrow, steal to watch our favorite international acts come to our country, and we're willing to pay and watch them live. But why is that same support not extended to people in our own country who are trying to, perform in English? And what is this pressure where they're always told to switch to, a local tongue? I really don't get that. Does it upset you, Sahana?
No, it's a great point, actually. You made a great point. I mean, like, we all know how hard people were trying to get Coldplay tickets. I mean, we heard so many stories of that, right? And
I've
and look,
cried.
and there were things like by RJ Abhinav and stuff of like selling lyric sheets at Coldplay shows because half the people didn't know the songs. Like I don't know if you've seen those memes; they're really funny.
What?
He pretends to be at a Coldplay show and he's giving lyric sheets because people don't know the songs. And so many
I
people
feel that
sometimes
thank
do
God, I feel thank God I've really filtered the content I see then on social media.
like,
This hasn't reached me.
but yeah, the joke is that you're going for some of these shows because you're also trying to be cool, and that's the in thing to do or whatever maybe. But to your point, people are still showing up for
Yeah.
international acts who are not singing in their local language, and of course there are amazing artists like Hanuman Kind and even the Raja Kumari and stuff
Yeah.
making music that's not specifically regional. Yeah, I mean, I feel like very little pisses me off now. I'm just like, yeah, people have their opinions. That's fine. I'll do what I feel like. And I was actually thinking about this today because a friend of mine sent me an idea for a reel where someone is reacting to some of their old covers or reels on Instagram or whatever. So it's like this: you react to your own content. Like, is it cute or is it cringe? And early on I was thinking about how when I started on Instagram I was so like eager to get likes and follows and blah blah, and I was forgetting who I was as an artist. I was just doing things because I felt like this was the in thing to do now, and that's how I grow my audience, or this is how I get followers. And I was like, I'm so done with that era. Like, whether people say, and I like singing regional music. It's not, I enjoy singing in Hindi, I enjoy singing in Tamil, but I don't want to do it just because that's what sells. I want to do it because that's what I feel like writing.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think if you're making art because you think it's going to sell, you've lost the battle right there. So I feel like definitely evolved from there, and now I just make music that I love. And often I get told, "Hey, you need to have a more of a niche brand, like pick a lane and stay in it, and only do this kind of like." I've released a few songs like Vari Vari and Raat Kate, which are
Mm-hmm.
have Indian classical
Which are amazing
influences
songs. Yeah.
with a drum and bass sound. And Chasing Light is a bit more experimental. But I also had my first EP, which was a little more acoustic. But I feel like now I just call myself a genre fluid artist because I feel like I'm just writing music that I want to write and that I wish existed, which is what I'm putting out. So I'm trying not to put myself in boxes. And yeah, maybe that will lead to me not having a niche audience or whatever, but I'm okay with that because I don't feel like putting myself in a box. And yeah, that's where I am right now. So yeah, people say it. I was pissed when I heard that comment about my song, and then I was like, that's fine. I'm not going to translate it to Hindi. I'm going to release it as an English song. And thankfully, I don't necessarily need a label to release my song. If there is a label, then great. You get some support for shooting your music video, marketing, and all of that stuff that a label can help you with. But if I don't have a label, that's fine too. I think part of the democratization of these distribution systems and streaming platforms, the fun is now you don't have to necessarily deal with those middlemen, and you can release music. There is very little stopping you. Of course, you need budgets for mixing, mastering, etc. But there's very little stopping you if you have a good song to get it out in the world. You don't need a label's blessing anymore.
But continuing, Sahana, I think you spoke about how you stopped listening to, label dictats and, feedback that came your way, which suggested that you perform in other languages. But when you performed, not performed rather, when you made your Hindi songs Vari Vari and Raat Kate, both collaborations on Nedmit, and then you also did the Tamil song Naal Peru, again in collaboration with Nirmit and Sana Moidutti for the first season of Mati, which
Right.
is, a property began by Warner Music India.
Yeah.
Was it because you just wanted to see how you're able to flex your ability to perform in other languages for yourself, or was it also to give an idea to external elements that, okay, see, it's not that if I switch languages, it makes any difference.
No, actually, Nalipere is the first Tamil song I've ever written. Although
Yeah,
I grew up in Chennai, and I watched lots of Tamil movies growing up, listened to a lot of Tamil music, I never felt confident about writing in Tamil because the vocabulary, I felt like my vocabulary was too casual, if that makes sense. It didn't feel deep enough, or it didn't feel vernacular. Like I didn't feel like I had a grasp of the deeper aspects of the language.
which is
But
actually every Tamilan's problem, right?
maybe I don't. Yeah, I
It
mean,
is.
because even if you look at songs in films, right, like
Yeah,
in Rahman's music direction, the lyrics are so beautiful and they're so special. So I felt like it's too daunting. I can't write like that. But then I thought, okay, it's fine. I know I can't write like that. But what I can write is about topics that matter to me in a funny sort of way, in an ironic sort of way. And so that's how I wrote Nalpere. It's a very conversational, there's not some poetic Tamil in there, or it's not
yeah,
some, it's very like creative usage of the language. I used English words. I made fun of things that in our patriarchy system today that are still upheld, like dowry and stuff like that I've seen happen to my cousins,
yeah,
right? When there's a guest coming home, you might have a male cousin and a female cousin, and the girl will always get told, make chai and bring it for the guest. Like you'll never get, at least people I've seen, the boys are doing whatever they want, and it's always the women that are serving guests. And it's not that we want to be making chai, right? We want to also do our own thing, ideally speaking. So small things like that feel so normal, and that feel like, oh, that's just how life is. Like I was just questioning, why should it be like that? And
yeah,
if you're not married by a certain age, that's the black mark. Or if you don't have kids, or if whatever, like dowry. And dowry is still a thing, and a lot of people who heard the song told me, what are you saying, it's 2025 and all. I'm like, you guys have no idea. I mean, this song released in 24, but still,
yeah,
it's still a thing, and it's unsaid. It's quietly slipped in. There are expectations. Maybe it's not money, but they expect a flat, or a new car, or there are these things that are unfortunately still happening.
yeah.
And because dowry is illegal, it comes in all these like other unsaid expectations. So
Gifts.
gifts, yeah, gifts means not like sari, like kurta
Yeah,
and all.
it's a code
Like
word.
a car or whatever, right? So yeah, so I just leaned into what I like to write about. And honestly, I did this because of Nirmit, because he was like, please write a Tamil song. Like he got the heard about the opportunity, and it was either Kannada, Telugu, or Tamil. And I'm actually Telugu. So he was like, write a Telugu song. I'm like, no way I can write a Telugu song. I grew up in Chennai. So I was like, okay, let's just do it.
Man.
I did think, and I just wrote it, and it was luck, I think. I don't know. We sent in a demo and they loved it. And it was only a 1.5 minute demo that we sent in, and they loved it. And it's like, now you have to finish this song. And so somehow I wrote the rest of it. And but I'm glad I did, because I enjoyed the song and how it turned out, but it also gave me the confidence to say, oh, I can actually write in Tamil. I can write about things that I find funny or find difficult. And it gave me this new path to go down. And I've since written a couple of more Tamil songs, and I'm trying to sort of compile a few and release them as an EP slowly over the next few months. But yeah, I'm glad this happened, because now I am seriously considering releasing more Tamil music.
Lovely. But just to get back to my previous question, uh, Sahana, was uh, writing in different languages, like you said, now in the case of Nalapere, it was a language that you have grown up with, and yet you sort of had your own doubts about actually performing, writing and performing in that language, even though you grew up with its presence, all through your life. So when
Yeah.
when you had to sit down to do Vari Vari or Raat Kate to Hindi songs. Now you and I, being South Indians, we know what is the exposure of Hindi, especially in a state like Tamil Nadu, given the
Yeah.
the constant tussle of the constant
Yeah.
political tussle, given the languages,
Yeah. Yeah.
or even given that you're actually you're of Telugu origin. So, in that, given that context, how easy or difficult was it for you to write and perform in Hindi?
So I think performing in Hindi is not hard for me, because I grew up watching a lot of Shah Rukh Khan films. And I studied Hindi in school, of course, but you don't get to speak so much Hindi in Chennai.
Yeah.
But I watched so many films. Like I watched every Shah Rukh movie there was growing up, and my aunt and I actually used to go to every one of his movies. So I just learned Hindi watching Bollywood films. And so for me, that's where I don't think my spoken Hindi is great. If you ask my friends from Bombay, they'll be like, I don't know how you sing in Hindi. So I don't talk about that because my grammar is all horrible. I can communicate enough to tell the auto
Oh.
bhaiya or Uber where to go and such. But like, but when I'm actually sitting to write, I can, because I'm able to speak the language, and I usually consult with my friends and make sure the grammar is correct. And my spoken Hindi is not horrible, but yeah, I am confident enough to that if somebody corrects it, they can
Yeah.
check the grammar. Then I know I can convey the idea in moderately poetic ways, I think. But yeah. So again, I don't know. I don't necessarily feel like I'm an expert lyricist. I just have very clear ideas of what I want to say, and I find a way to say them. I think that's mostly the crux of my songwriting, and even the musicality. I have an idea, and I somehow make that idea come to life. So I feel like if I deconstruct my songs, that's been the core of how I create. And yeah, I don't feel 100% confident in any other language other than English, sadly. But what happens is I just do it anyway, and then I get somebody who's good at the language to see if the sentences are making
Hmm.
sense to them, and if the grammar is correct and stuff. And so far so good. I've I think somehow escaped, I think. So we'll see how it goes. The hope is that I improve as I write more and more. But yeah, I don't allow it to stop me. I write, and then I make a fool of myself, and then I get feedback. I'm not afraid to do that. So that's a good step, I guess, in the right direction.
And now that you stay in Bengaluru, there's another language to learn in hand.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh my God. Kannada.
so how is it navigating that? Like, do you think like at least your understanding or your grasp of Kannada, like
I
you're
can
getting there?
understand. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I can understand what a simple day-to-day spoken Kannada, because there's a lot of similarities between Kannada and Telugu. So the fact that I speak Telugu helps.
Oh,
And yeah, so because I grew up in a Telugu household, so the similarities between Kannada and Telugu, there are lots of similarities. So that helps. But yeah, I'm not close to writing any songs in Kannada, if that's what you're asking.
no, no. No, I was not getting at that. I was hoping that yeah, it would be such a beautiful plus point to also know Kannada. I mean, because I don't mind the language debate at all. If I personally speaking, I feel that if I am in a city and if it gives me the opportunity to learn a language, I will learn it only for myself, only for my selfish purpose, because I
Yeah.
love learning different languages, and there's obviously a different thrill you experience in and having the ability to speak in different languages. It is an
Yeah.
impressive trait to
You
have.
connect
It,
with the people instantly because of that. At least
precisely.
on a
Yes.
day-to-day basis,
Yes.
people will appreciate you more if you're speaking their language, wherever you are, not just Bangalore,
Yeah,
whether
I
it's
believe there's a
France
lot more
or
relatability involved.
Bombay
Yes,
or
correct.
Hindi, right? Or Delhi, right? So yeah.
True. Coming back to music before we get political, which I don't want to. But Sahana, you started dropping music in 2021 with your first single, Milky Hands. The independent music scene in general in the last 5 years, and when I say the last 5 years, I am specifically talking about for me also personally, I have seen uh, the scene evolve so rapidly, and it's like every day is there's a new curveball that's thrown. Every day there's a new challenge at hand. But how do you reflect upon your journey so far since you dropped Milky Hands in 2021 to as we speak now with Chasing Light in 2025?
That's a good question. I think, going in, I was just extremely naive, I think. I just released music. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know much about, like, I still feel I don't know a lot about marketing, but at least I knew a little more than I knew then. Social media, all of the promotional aspects, right? So I just focused on the creation aspect. I didn't really think about what I was going to do with the song. How do I get people to listen to it? So I feel like in the last several, I mean, 4, 5 years, I've learned a lot more. I feel like I have a better understanding of the ecosystem, how to approach, who to approach, how to pitch my music to perform live at venues. And so I think having a successful career depends on lots of these factors. It's not just writing good music, it's how you promote yourself, where you get to perform live, if you can get into the sync licensing market and sync your music to OTT shows and stuff like that. So I think I've gotten a much better understanding of the industry. Um, and maybe it's made me a little cynical also, I would say, because I was very naive and very like very positive and oh, this is wonderful and everything. Now I'm like, okay, unless you make music that sells, or unless it's mainstream, or unless you get big numbers on streaming, or you go viral or whatever, you're gonna have this slow path to success. And I've started honestly making my peace with that, because I was always waiting for somebody to come and rescue me. Like, oh, this label is going to like this one song, and suddenly I'm going to get this cool video, and I'm going to, whatever, get to be on this. My music is going to be on an OTT show. And I had these very like waiting for somebody to more powerful to come and recognize me as an artist or recognize my music as something special. I've completely shifted from that. I'm done like playing that game. It just doesn't make any sense to live like that as an artist. So now I'm like, yeah, it'll be great if I get those opportunities, but it's also fine if I don't. And I'm happy to be in my little corner making music that I love and making music that I believe in and put it out there. It's not to say that I'm not going to make an effort to market it or I'm not going to go after bigger opportunities, but my happiness is not going to depend on that. And the fact that I'm making music is not going to depend on. I'm still going to make music I love, and if I have the bandwidth and the ability to market it and get some of that, I will. But my mindset has changed, and I'm just sort of not waiting for something to come and rescue me or go viral or whatever the term is today. I'm just making music that I love, and yeah, I'll still market it and I'll collaborate with other artists, and hopefully the music will speak for itself and more interesting opportunities will come my way. But I've stopped making that my goal. I'm just focusing on making art that I love, and I think growth will come along the way, and I'll find the audience that wants to listen to this music. So I've shifted my focus to that, and I'm a lot happier. I don't know what my numbers are, or whether the numbers reflect quote unquote success and what today's success is and being on billboards or whatever, but I have a small audience that likes my music, and I'm performing live shows, and I'm slowly building my discography one song at a time. And yeah, I feel like this path will take me somewhere, and I'm just trying to enjoy that journey right now. So yeah, my whole mindset has shifted now, and I'm honestly a lot happier that I found this path, because otherwise it can be really daunting and difficult to be in this industry that is actually all about numbers and fame and all of these analytics that you get defined by. And then
Yeah.
your art is lost, right? You're like, why did I get into music in the first place? Not to become famous or rich or whatever. It is because I have these ideas and this music that's trying to burst and come out of me. And I want to be able to say what I want to say through my music. So I just keep pulling myself back to that. And it's not easy, it's hard because at the end of the day we live in this the same society with Instagram and YouTube shorts and everyone awards and being on billboards, and so you have to really anchor yourself and be strong and be able to hold space for what you truly want to do. So yeah, I feel like my journey has really changed me as a person, but I'm happy for it.
I think, Sahana, I think you actually are the perfect fit for me to ask my next question because I've always wanted to understand how do artists receive people in general, their audience or, different stakeholders who come to them, who walk up to them. I've always wanted to, pick on what is really going on in an artist's mind. How are they able to maintain a sense of judgment or, a perspective about vibes or about energies that float around them? Because I feel that in certain instances, artists are very gullible about, because the need to be validated is so overwhelming at times. It's like, when somebody is coming to you and saying that, hey, I really like your song, or hey, I really like how you do, well, I really like the way you're putting yourself out there as an artist. Are you able to tell if that's really genuine or not? Because I mean, there are so many people out there who are just trying to make conversations. There are so many people out there who are just uh, posing, for the lack of a better word. But how does an artist maintain judgment and not get carried away with all the pleasantries that come their way and still maintain a sense of sanity, like you rightly said?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's flattery is it's great, right? Everyone wants to hear good things about themselves. And I feel like that's why social media is such a platform that promotes vanity, right? Because
Yeah.
it's made us so dependent on these external comments and validation. And I think we've lost ourselves in this whole journey with social media, and right from Facebook, right from Orkut, if you go back. So for me, I mean, I assume that people are coming from a place of honesty. But the old me, the way I would have given away my power if somebody wanted to collaborate with me, or if somebody offered me, like, there's this one like marketing company that keeps contacting me, asking me to make covers of this other very famous artist's music. And they'll because they're releasing a song and they want an independent artist to cover that person's song. And before I'll be like, okay, I'll think about it and all, they won't pay me, they won't share, they won't give me any credit. Like, they'll just post it on social media for like 24 hours or whatever, or they won't tag me properly. Now when I get people approaching me for this, I'm like, okay, how much do you pay? What is the kind of music? What is the opportunity? And I ask different questions, and if it doesn't align with my vision, with my kind of music, with my purpose, I say no. So I feel like also as an artist, as you grow and you evolve, you learn to identify real opportunities, real collaborations. You can identify when it's a scam, when somebody just wants you to do something for free, without giving you credit. And so I think slowly, but that's rooted again in you having value for yourself, right? So I think for me, that's been the key. Like, I know my value, I value myself, and I enjoy what I do. So when somebody compliments me, it's great, and I am thankful and I'm grateful. But if they don't compliment me also, I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, I think what I'm doing is good and I'm happy with what I'm doing. So now the way validation and compliments land on me is different. It's not like I'm a sponge waiting to soak that in. I am happy. I'm grateful. Thank you for the live audience that comes to my shows. Thank you to the people who listen to my music. But that said, I'm okay even if they don't say my music is good, or and if they hate my music also, I'm okay with it. I've gotten to the point where it's fine. Everyone has a right to like what they like and dislike what they don't like. And I've sort of made my peace with that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I assume most people come from a good place with good intentions. And if someone is has a shady collab request or something, I'm very comfortable saying no. Or, if they want me to be a ghost writer and not give me credit or whatever, I'm okay walking away from things, and I'm very clear about why I do something and why I say no to something. So I think maybe that comes also with maturity and age and experience in the industry, but it is again founded in knowing your worth and knowing your value and knowing what you'll say yes to and what you'll say no to. And yeah, I'm getting better at that. I still can't say I'm great at it, but with each work experience, with each project, you learn. And you now I say no to unpaid shows, or if I'm not getting a certain fee, if they constantly keep negotiating with me, and I just politely say sorry, I can't do this is my fee, and you either take it or you leave it. So it's come to that, and I've lost things because of that. I've lost like performances at weddings, and traveling to people's events and asking for my fee plus travel plus stay for me and the band. And there are lots of requests that come, but people, when you say the quote a certain price, people will be like, sorry, it's out of our budget. But well, you're willing to hire this person for 8 lakhs or 5 lakhs or whatever, right? So it's just music sometimes becomes where they decide to cut budgets. So I'm like, this doesn't work for me. So I'm able to thankfully be in a position where I can turn things down that don't align with my goals and my vision. But yeah, I think it's a process. I think with each show, each project, you learn a little something, and you get a little bit better at your craft, and you're managing yourself in a professional way.
More power to you, Sahana. I think uh, it's only inspiring what you just shared with us, and I really hope every artist, uh, if not take a cue from this interview, every artist is blessed with that ability to stand their ground and say no to things that don't align with their energy or with their vision. More power to you
Yeah.
for that, Sahana. Coming back to something positive, you opened for Veer Das at his Bangalore show, and you were supported by Alvin Presley, who is also one of my favorite singer songwriters in the scene. Tell us about that experience, Sahana, because the picture on Instagram is a very happy picture of you with, with Veer post the show.
Yeah,
But how do you describe that experience?
it was really fun. It was really wonderful experience. So Alvin actually opened for Veer in the Chennai show, and he's a
Yeah,
friend of mine. And he helped connect me with his management and stuff. And so that's one of the reasons I was thanking him. He's a wonderful musician himself,
yeah.
and very, very kind, lovely person. Alvin is. The show with Veer was amazing. I mean, it was pretty insane to watch him from so close and watch him do his thing. And for me, I learned a lot looking at him. I mean, like before the show, he was in his dressing room rehearsing his lines and going over his material. And I was like, wow, even at his level, like this is the attention to detail and focus, and how dedicated he is. And of course, we got to meet him at the green room in the during the break, and he was just so warm and wonderful, and really friendly and down to earth. And he was teasing me that I went about 2 minutes over my set, and he was like, I'm going to time you for the next show and stuff. So I literally had a timer under my leg when I was
Oh.
performing. And he's a stickler for time, because there was a comedy act after me, so I was the art music part, and then there was another comic, and then there was him. So that was funny. But yeah, it was really fun, lovely experience, and definitely a treat watching Veer like live, and it was super fun. I had a blast performing, and I performed with a friend of mine, Anirudh, and we played. It was nice to play my music because whenever people ask me to play originals, it's always more fun than playing covers. So that was fun. But yeah, I had a blast. It was full, like I don't know, several hundred people, maybe I don't know, say 500, 600 people. It was a full auditorium. So that was pretty cool to perform to such a large crowd.
Lovely. Um, Sahana, when you look at yourself today and when you see yourself relatively a few years ago, if there was one piece of advice that you could give your younger self, I often ask myself this question, when I'm reflecting, or I often ask this question to a lot of women around me, and everyone has various answers. My oft repeated answer is I would actually not say anything to myself because I'm so happy to have learned everything along the way and learned it all
Yeah.
by myself. I did not ask anybody for directions. But um, is there something that you wish you were told when you were younger?
That's a good question. I mean, to your point, right? I feel like everything that we have done so far in our lives is has been instrumental in bringing us to this very moment, right? So to your point, if I changed something or I did something differently, I would be a different person at this moment. And I like who I am now. So I don't think I would say much to my younger self. But sometimes I think about one thing. I feel like I took life too seriously as a young person. And I would tell myself, like, just lighten up. Like, mistakes happen, accidents happen, you screw things up, you do some things well, you don't do some things well, and it's fine. It all turns out fine. So, like, the only thing I would like to get better at is not taking life so seriously. Like, I can be very goal driven and very like perfectionist about everything I do. And so I'm just trying to go with the flow and, take things a little easier, and be kinder to myself. Like that's probably the only thing I would say. But yeah, uh, to your point, everything teaches you something. So, um, but yeah, I think taking life less seriously is a good thing for everyone.
Lovely. Sana, so many amazing already amazingly established artists that are there in independent music scene, but there are also some really new emerging artists who have hit the scene, especially in the last couple of years. But if I have to ask Sahana, when she's not making music, because we believe in community also, if I can ask Sahana, who are the artists from the scene currently that she loves listening to at leisure?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a tough one. There's so many amazing artists today. I think so. Meera Desai is one of my favorites. I
Mm.
think she's just an incredible singer-songwriter, and just what a voice, what a beautiful voice, and what a lovely person she is. So for me, like, she comes to mind immediately. I love listening to like a lot of her songs, Mango Milkshake, and
Mm.
the EP that she released with Mango Milkshake. So many lovely tunes on that. I also really enjoy listening to my cousin Keshavara, his band. They're like washed out crowd pop with like Eastern, Western influences, and they've just such a unique sound.
And you
I
did a
love them.
German song for them, right?
Yeah, I did. I did. Indische Goethe im Sauerland.
Yeah.
It's actually a story about how his parents met. His mother's German, and his father, my uncle, and his mother. It's a song about how they met in the middle of Germany, and like, how they fell in love and stuff. So he's definitely someone that I really enjoy. And my friend Joel Sakre also has been doing these really insane lo-fi like flips of Ilayaraja samples, and taking these old retro sounds and making these cool flips with them. So I love his work as well. Let me see, who else do I really love from the independent scene? There's so many bands, like there's so many unique bands, there's so many artists. In the fusion space, I also like the Revisit project. I love some of the really cool stuff that they do. Bombay Banduk is another really tight band from
Mm,
Bombay. And Amarjeet, their keyboardist, I perform with him whenever I'm in Bombay. I don't do a show without him. So I feel like they're writing some really cool
yeah.
music. So I feel like Bombay Banduk also has this really cool space that they've found. And yeah, so many Second Sight, that the duo, they're also pretty cool. I like the F16s. I feel like,
Ah,
they've been making music for like over a decade now,
yeah,
consistently
more than
churning
a
out
decade.
like hit after hit. Peter Cat. I like some of Pratik Kuhad's first albums as well. I really enjoyed that sound. Yeah, so many cool artists, doing fun. Adya Jaswal is someone
Yeah.
I recently heard live.
Oh,
What is
Sanctuary is amazing. Her
what a
EP,
beautiful Pariah.
beautifully.
So Adya and I did a cover version of Pariah together, and she performed for Indie Girl. So many beautiful, Arifa is another fun Indian artist, I think. So lots of cool long distances. Her band is also pretty cool, and yeah, so many cool Indian artists, and so much indie music abroad as well, like Love and Lizzie McAlpine, and so many cool
Yeah.
artists. So it's a good time to be in the independent scene. I think so many cool albums being released every year. So yeah, Keshavara is on the top of my list. I'm a bit biased because he's my cousin, maybe, but I love their music.
Which is
I
okay.
keep I love their music, and I feel like I keep going back to some of those songs, and it's on repeat for me. But yeah, that's my long list.
Well, we've come close to concluding our interview, Sahana. But before we end, a quick note on how do you see yourself in the months to come? I don't want it to go years because we can never predict certain things. But at least now, for now that we are halfway through 2025, how do you see yourself uh, in the second half of the year, in the latter half of the year?
I'm actually hoping to release some Tamil music, so I have a few songs in the
Oh,
pipe. And my cousin and I have been working on this little family album, with him producing the tracks, my uncle playing the percussion on it, and my dad
your
has
cousin being
played.
Keshavra, to be specific.
Keshav, yeah. And my uncle is a jazz percussionist, and he plays like some 15 percussion instruments, from the kanjira to the tabla to the drums, mridangam. So we've
Wow.
done this like family sort of compilation of 4 5 tracks with guest artists. And my dad has played veena on it. And we've taken some traditional Indian rags like Sindhu Bhairavi and Varali and stuff like that from Carnatic and Hindustani music, and written music around that. And I've sung a Tamil track, I've sung a Hindi track, and I've sung a couple of traditional compositions as well. And so that album hopefully is releasing in the next, I don't know, few months. And we're also doing a little tour in Europe in September. We got this
Wow.
artist cultural grant to collaborate, a German and an Indian artist to collaborate. So we're going to perform a couple of shows there and release the album using the grant. And apart from that, I had also written 2 Tamil tracks that I had pitched to an independent film, which didn't go through. But as a result, now I have these 2 songs sitting in my hard drive. So I'm going to finish them, and I'm going to release them as a Tamil EP. So that's sort of what I have in mind. And I've also been playing some of my electronic heavy songs like Ratkati and Vari Vari live. So I'm also experimenting with a electronic live set, and I've been performing that for a couple of shows now. So I'll be in Bombay end of August performing that similar set to that. Yeah, and November I have a couple of other shows. So a little bit of live music and a little bit of Tamil music releasing in the next couple of months.
Lovely. Looking forward to anything and everything that you do, Sahana. All my love, always. Thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time
you
out
so
again to
much.
speak to me. And
Thank you. It was
I
my
hope to see
pleasure.
you very soon
Yes,
in
yes,
person.
definitely. I'll be in Bombay in August, so we'll meet up. And thank you so much for having me on your lovely show. And I'm so happy to have chatted with you. And, we always keep exchanging messages about the indie
Yeah,
scene. So it's nice to have a deep dive one-on-one chat and wish you also all the best. And
thank
it's
you.
lovely. Thank you for everything that you do for the independent music scene. It's always nice to have
Ah,
someone cheering indie artists on. So thank you for that.
that I mean, that takes a different level of energy and effort altogether. But we'll leave that for another conversation some other day. But thank you so much
Thank
to
you for
our
having
viewers who are
me.
watch. Yes, to our viewers who are watching, thank you so much, and we will be back with another episode very soon. Thanks once again.